SSH sounds complicated, but using it is actually really simple once you see it. In the next few minutes, I'll show you how to install SSH on both sides, the client and the server. And then I'll show you how to connect using either an IP address or a hostname. And I'll explain it all in plain English. Before we can connect anything, we need the tool that actually does the connecting. Refer to episode 1 of this series if you want a good mental model of how SSH client and server connect. Let's start by installing SSH on the client machine. This is the critical first step, but luckily it only takes about 30 seconds. First, we're going to run sudo apt update. Remember, this is like updating the App Store for Linux. It's updating the software and the versions that are available for Linux. Remember, it doesn't install anything. It's just updating the definitions of what's available. Now we're going to do the actual SSH client install. So let's clear this. We'll go sudo apt install open SSH -client. Now remember, apt is a package manager for Linux. It's like having a software butler. Apt keeps everything nice and tidy, takes care of dependencies, installs and uninstalls cleanly, and so on. Now let's check and see what SSH version was installed. So we'll go SSH tech uppercase V. We can see here open SSH was installed. At this point, our client is ready to connect, but there's nothing to connect to yet. We have the SSH client, but a client needs a server to talk to. So let's fix that by installing the SSH server on the other machine. You know, the piece that actually accepts the client connection. We're going to run sudo apt update again to update what's in the Linux App Store. And remember, sudo apt update doesn't install anything. It just updates what's available to us in the Linux App Store, basically. Now we're going to install server, sudo apt install open SSH -server. So we'll let apt, the Linux software butler, take care of it for us again. And you see how this is an uppercase Y? That means that this is the default. So we do want to continue, so I'm just going to hit enter right here. Now it's installed server. Let's check on a couple of things though. Let's go sudo systemctl status. Let's see if it's up and running. Now, unfortunately, systemctl is outside the scope of this video, so we're not going to go over it. But just know, you just type this command to check the status of SSH. You can see here it's loaded, but it's not running, so let's take care of that. We'll hit Q to get out of this. We'll clear our screen. Let's do sudo systemctl start instead of status this time, because we want to start the service. ssh.service. Now if we run sudo systemctl status again, we can see here that it's active, so it's running now. And if we back off a little bit, we can see that it says it's disabled. And what this means is that SSH servers, the SSH service will not auto start when you reboot. So we're going to take care of that right now. We're going to go Q to get out of that. Then we're going to say sudo systemctl enable SSH. And now that enabled it to start up on boot. So if we do run status again, now we can see that it says enabled here, meaning that the SSH service will start every time the computer boots up. So we'll get out of that, clear our screen to keep everything nice and tidy. Now let's confirm that the SSH server is running. So we'll do sudo socket statistics, T for TCP connections, L for checking what's listening, N because we don't want IP addresses translated to host names, and P because we want to see the process or program that is running or listing on the port. And then we will pipe that to grep. Check out the grep series if you want to know more about grepping. And we'll hit enter. You can see here port 22 is running, or excuse me, port 22 is listening, and the SSHD or SSH daemon is what is listening on port 22. So we'll go ahead and clear our screen, keep everything nice and tidy. And if you don't get this the first time around, don't worry about it. You can come back and watch the video. The more you're exposed to this sort of technology and this way of operating, and the more you're exposed to these commands, the deeper in your memory they're going to be embedded. So, you know, watch this video a couple times, watch other people's videos, talk it over with your coworkers, read some blogs on it, anything to get it embedded into your memory so you can recall it whenever you really need it at work. We've built both sides of the connection. Now comes the part that everybody really cares about, actually using SSH. I'm about to show you two primary commands for connecting two computers with SSH. One using an IP address and the other using a hostname. First, we'll start with using the IP address. So we'll type the SSH command, we'll type John because that's the username we want to connect with. We'll go 192.168.229.128. This is the IP address of our SSH server. We'll hit enter. It'll say, hey, this is the first time we've connected. Are you sure you want to connect to this machine? Could be dangerous if it's a bad guy, but we know it's ours, so we're not worried about it. So we're just going to type yes there and hit enter. And then it's saying, hey, you're trying to connect with the username John. Can you give me John's password? So we're going to type in password. You can see we connected just fine. Here's the prompt for our client machine, and here's the new prompt for our SSH server because we just connected to it. Hostname is target Cali, as you see right there. Now we'll exit out of this, and I'm going to show you another way to connect. So we'll clear our screen. Now, without getting too technical, in large corporate environments, IP addresses can change. If that's the case, connecting SSH by hostname as opposed to IP address can be a more reliable method. Let me show you how to do that. Now first, to connect to a computer using the hostname instead of the IP address, you have to know the hostname. So I just showed you a second ago, but we're going to go over it again to really embed it into your mind. So we are on the SSH server machine at the moment, and we are going to simply type the word hostname, and it'll show us the hostname is target Cali. And you can see that from the prompt right here, but if your prompt does not show you the hostname, this is the command you type to get it. So now we know the hostname is target Cali. We'll go back to our SSH client. We'll use the same command. We'll go SSH. We'll use the user John again, and instead of typing the IP address this time, we'll go ahead and type the hostname, which is target-Cali. We'll hit enter, and it says, hey, this is your first time connecting. Are you sure? It could be dangerous. But again, we know it's ours, so we're just going to type yes and hit enter. And again, it asks us for John's password. So we're going to go ahead and type it in. And now we've connected again. This usually works in large enterprises using the hostname where the IP address may change. But if you run into a situation where DNS isn't working, or else you're in a lab environment, you may have a problem. And let me show you how to fix that problem. So first we'll get out of this. We'll clear our screen. So here's what's going to happen if DNS isn't working in your environment. You're going to go SSH John at target-Cali, give them the host name again, and it's going to hang like this. It's hanging because it's trying to resolve target-Cali. It's trying to find the IP address for target-Cali, but it's not finding it. And there's a way we can fix this in a lab environment or if DNS isn't working in your environment. And I'll show you that right now. So we'll go sudo vi and we'll go /etc/host. This is the host file. And then I'm going to hit O to go down to the next line and enter insert mode. And then I'm going to type in the IP address for target-Cali, 192.168.229.128. And then I'm going to hit one space, and then I'm going to hit target-Cali. So what this does is this tells the computer automatically, hey, if I type in target-Cali, I'm really meaning 192.168.229.128. So target-Cali is just like a nickname for this IP address. So now that we're done with that, we'll hit escape to get out of insert mode. I'll hold down Shift-ZZ to save the file and exit. And now I'm going to clear our screen, and now I'm going to go SSH John at target-Cali. This time it asks for the password, so we see it's already behaving differently. And there it brought up the SSH server because we told it, hey, if I type in target-Cali, I really mean 192.168.229.128. And we did that again by editing the hosts file. At this point, you now understand the core of SSH. You installed the client, you installed the server, and you connected both of those two together using either an IP address or a host name. In the next few videos, we'll start tightening things down using SSH the way it is used in the real world. So thanks for hanging out with me, and we'll see you in the next one.